Clark looks fine enough in Remnant. The cape is the only thing that feels like a weirdly tacked on element, and I don't like how it's weirdly asymmetrical, but that's just me. Aside from that, he's fine. The popped collar jacket style and the slightly messier hair gives him an appropriately younger vibe. He feels like he matches Remnant, but still clearly embodies his DC Superman aesthetic. On any other character, I'd say the giant S-designed chest plate would be a bit too much, but it's a staple for Superman, so I'm generally fine with it. The only real problem is how they modeled his face in-engine. His cleft chin doesn't quite work. It makes his head feel too big, and his actual face too small on top of that. But yeah, overall, I think he looks perfectly fine. Honestly, they could repurpose a lot of the stuff for like a new Superboy design if they really wanted to. I feel like they didn't really play around with Diana enough. She doesn't really feel like she's wearing Remnant clothes. Remnant tends to have modern fashion stitched somewhere into the outfits. This just feels like a young Wonder Woman, which isn't bad, I guess, just a bit boring. But she does get that RWBY classic. One random bandana tied around one of your limbs for no reason. The high ponytail is cute and appropriately sporty feeling for a high school misadventure for Wonder Woman, but I admit the short hair she had in the DC crossover comics is way cuter. Her whole outfit in the comic in general has a lot more personality and unique accents, feeling like classic knight armor, which is another Remnant staple. This one has so much personality, it's a shame her actual movie outfit is so watered down in comparison. In the DC crossover comics, Bruce has bat ears and a really simplistic outfit. This feels more like pajamas than anything else in my opinion. For the movie, I'm actually glad they redesigned the whole character. Giving him these large, impressive bat wings especially feels a lot more fun and different for the character. But I'm also a little confused because his new outfit is really boring. It's very safe, right? It's basically a carbon copy of what he'd normally wear, and I really don't like the scarf cape thing. The actual bat wings already mimicked the shape language of his iconic batwing cloak he normally wears. Adding this just makes his design feel busy and top-heavy. The whole thing isn't bad, I suppose, but it's also not that impressive or anything. If you want something really different though, check out his fancy top hat, bat ear hiding party outfit from the comics. Wow, fancy boy! Cyborg is a mixed bag for me. I like seeing him with the longer hair, that's a neat change of pace we don't get very often, but I find his actual clothes really boring. A simple, plainly patterned dark tank top? That's it? I imagine they wanted something that wouldn't distract from his robotic limbs. They are sort of the most iconic aspect of his design as a character after all, but man, it's really boring. A missed opportunity, I'd say. And even a simple pattern somewhere would have been appreciated. Honestly, because they're doing an Oops, We're Teenagers story, I think they could have given him a Letterman jacket. That'd be fitting for the story, and would have been a cool reference to his days as a football star. But that would also end up obscuring his robo-arm, which would be a shame. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, I guess. Well, at least they gave him a shirt, unlike the comic version, which had him waltzing around with his titties out the whole time. It's snowing, dude. Cover up, you'll catch a cold. I wish they had given Vixen fox ears. I think the fox tail is cute, don't get me wrong, but it's also easy to overlook. Her overall design is really simple, incredibly similar to outfits she already wears in DC's universe. The faunus trait is the biggest remnant-flavored detail in her design, but the foxtail ends up being easy to forget about. Big, cute fox ears would have helped to constantly remind us of just how out of her element Mari really is here. Aside from that, like I said, it's fine. She looks nice because this is just a normal outfit for Vixen, and Vixen already looks nice to begin with. I will say, she's a model, right? So if there was ever a time to really go crazy and play with the fashion-forward ideas for her design, this would have been her big opportunity to do so. Oh well. Jessica is the character I feel like they really played around with the most when giving her a new remnant-flavored design. It's really different from not only what she normally wears as a lantern, but also from the DC comic version as well. And I like this. The hoodie and shorts give her an appropriately high school theme and also matches Remnant's fashion-forward style for the students. Keeping her accent colors as either black and white or very muted greens helps to make her iconic Green Lantern colors pop in the design. A part of me thinks maybe the pattern on her shirt is a bit busy, but it doesn't distract me, so that's cool. My favorite part is her hair. The style where the underlayer of hair is a fun color is just really cool and works best with animation because it kind kind of defies physics. The whole design is just really cohesive. I also appreciate how they gave her a really different body size and shape here. For being the adventure where they're teens, a lot of them felt too similar to their adult counterparts. Making Lantern this tiny little cutie was a fun change of pace. Barry, unfortunately, gets the short end of the stick with these remnant designs. He's just got so much going on, and it doesn't really look good together. There's too many zigzagging patterns everywhere, feeling like the designer just wanted to fill empty spaces, rather than use their patterns to lead your eye through the design in a cohesive way. I think it's most egregious with his dumb lightning bolt zipper. Like, just make it a pattern, like with Jessica's t-shirt. It's just too costumey to feel like a remnant design, too. RWBY characters usually incorporate some sort of real fashion element somewhere. This just looks like a DC character, like a new design for Kid Flash. And I think they realized that, so they just threw on this too large scarf cape thing, just like with Batman. His head already had a lot going on with his large hairstyle and goggles. It's just so much more busy with this. And the lightning bolt shape of the cape is just, I get it. He's the Flash. One lightning bolt is fine. We don't need 100 of them here. RWBY's DC design is pretty unique. I admit, it was a bit shocking to see her without her iconic skirt shape, but I think it works, especially here in the superhero world. I really like the sporty little ponytail. Every time they jazz up RWBY's hair, I like it a lot. I like how they keep RWBY's classic color palette, the red, black, and gray, and just trims things down and streamlines things to feel like a superhero's spandex. And I like how they kept her hood, but rather than the large billowing cape, it's now long strands of a scarf-like design. Again, streamlined. It's a bit simplistic overall, which could be good or bad, but in this case, I think it's a benefit for the character. But I do wish there were more bright shades of red in her design, maybe a detail on her shoes somewhere to even out the brightness of her scarf. But it's not bad, not by a long shot. Weiss's DC design might be my favorite of the four girls. Finally, my Ice Queen is wearing white again. The skirt and strapless top feels like a perfect combination of her figure skater-inspired choreography, mixed with this sleek superhero style for DC. Also, we get to see her shoulders! Crazy. I really like having her hair down. She always has it tied up. Having it flowing down around her just better hammers home the idea that they're not in their usual world, and these are not their usual styles. Keeping her little crown at an angle, though, still gives off that same vibe as her off-center ponytail, keeping her design familiar in some way so it doesn't feel too alien. Honestly, this is great. The colors work perfectly with Weiss. The accent details like her shoes, tiara, and gloves still gives her an appropriately regal feel for the Schnee heiress. One of her best designs in a very, very long time. Blake's outfit actually works really well, I'd say. Similar to Weiss, it's so refreshing seeing my girl actually wearing her iconic color. Making her whole design primarily black looks great. The white and purple details actually work like accents here, moving your eye through the design in a way that makes Blake feel prepared for combat, but also still fashionable and sexy. Exposing her tummy and arms works because her pale skin tone contrasts against the black outfit, so you never lose her limbs. The yellow details match her eyes and confirms what I've always thought. More yellow in her design would look really good. It's all really done really well. Except for everything from the neck up. Removing her ears just doesn't look right. It could have. They just needed to restyle her hair a bit, but they didn't. So instead, she has this dome-like helmet head, and it's so silly looking. Also, the mask over her face is goofy. It being the same color as her hair just makes it look like her hair is consuming her face, obscuring her emotions, and making her head feel busy. Yang doesn't look right, and I'm not sure why. I think it's her proportions. Her chunky, blocky armor and thick gloves gives her a bigger, almost sausage-like design, but her head, in contrast, feels really small, and they've redesigned her face to give her more of a narrow head shape, too. It looks off to me. On top of that, the outfit is just so ugly, too. It's so busy. The crisscrossing patterns on her shoulders just feel like the designer didn't know what to do with her. The plain brown, solid, unpatterned chest piece on top of the busy pattern just draws my eye, so I just end up staring at her tits the whole time. And it's such an ugly shade of brown, too. This outfit is really ugly. It doesn't even feel like a superhero outfit. It's too bundled up with too many layers. And what's with the scarf? It just obscures her face and makes her feel really claustrophobic and top-heavy. The rest of the girls' DC designs are generally pretty good. Why did Yang get done so dirty here? Watts comes back as a mech thing, and it's a choice. The larger beard implies time has passed, which is a neat detail, but unfortunately RWBY's art style doesn't really work very well with facial hair on their models. His actual mech outfit thing is odd. It doesn't really feel like a RWBY design or a DC design. It actually looks more like red versus blue or Bionicle or something. The whole thing being gray with yellow accents is fine. Those are technically two of his main colors, but also, I don't know, Watts had a sort of regality to him. A proper coat, ornate rings, and this bulky, garish mech suit doesn't imply anything about that part of his personality. It's so generic that honestly anyone could have wore this. It's ugly, and it feels like a wasted opportunity for his character's big return. The RWBY girls got new outfits for the Shiro Miwa manga, and I want to talk about them. Honestly, it kinda sucks starting on RWBY here, because her outfit is definitely the most boring of the new bunch. It's just incredibly similar to what she usually wears, the same old dark dress, the darker gray long-sleeved top, similar to her Paladin fight outfit and Volume 4 outfit. The darker gray looks better than Volume 4's cream-colored thing, but it's way too similar to both her usual Volume 1 design and the Volume 2 Paladin design. The coolest part is the red gloves. They're a nice addition to help her hands really pop against all the darkness of the rest of the look, but I wish overall this one was more adventurous with her style. It's not bad, just a little boring. I adore this manga variant Weiss outfit. It's legitimately one of my all-time favorite designs. Not just for Weiss, just like ever. Weiss never gets to wear short sleeves, and I think this belled-out sleeve with the blue gloves makes her look cool and combat-ready. Utilizing the white with black trim, similar to her Paladin outfit, is cool, but what makes this one really stand out against everything she's ever worn is the pants. She never wears pants, always skirts, and like, look at her! She's gorgeous! The vibrant light blue perfectly complements the rest of the look and matches her eye color, and the soft purple accents on her belt and collar help to tie the look together in a cohesive way so the colors don't feel so blocked off. Phenomenal outfit. I love Weiss. Best girl, so pretty. Kinda similar to RWBY. I'm not too wowed with Blake's manga outfit. It's perfectly fine, but that's because it's kinda too similar to what she normally wears. I do like how this one feels more breathable. If it wasn't for RWBY's long sleeves, I'd honestly see this set of designs as a summer variation outfit for the girls. But for Blake, the thing that gets me is the crisscrossing pattern on her arms. I don't know, they just feel kinda busy. And I don't think it really helps her arms to stand out against her body much either. Honestly, I think a solid fingerless glove would have worked fine. I also wish she utilized her alt color purple in the outfit more. That would have really helped to make it stand out, I think. I kinda love Yang's outfit here, which is weird. I'm not usually a big fan of camouflage patterns, but I don't know, the sleek, sporty cut of the design, the thigh-high socks that are a bright pop of orange to match the scarf, it's just really cute and really fun feeling for her. In some artwork, her tank top underneath is a dark grayish color, and in others it's her signature yellow. I prefer the yellow, but both work really well. Yang so often feels overdone, with weird asymmetrical bits with too many layers and patterns that make no sense and look ugly. The simplified, straightforward design like this is such a breath of fresh air. If we're gonna talk about Ice Queendom, we might as well start with the Ice Queen herself. Weiss's alternate outfit here is so cool. The militaristic edge perfectly matches Atlas's military mindset, but they still tie her royal themes into the look. Her tall, general-like hat, the cloak draped over her shoulders, they're styled like royal accoutrement, like a cape and a crown, but it's the small character-specific details that really stand out to me. Usually her ponytail is off to one side and always visible. Here, it's tied back evenly and feels obscured. She doesn't have her scar here either. Once you notice these elements, these things that make Weiss who she is, it's easy to get a chill realizing how much this version of her throws away everything about the true self to embody this nightmarish role. Snowboarder RWBY is cool, and I love this outfit for her. Honestly, I'm so happy they took the opportunity to do something really different and got rid of the cape in favor for the hoodie. It still reads the same as her cape with the color and size of it, but also distinctly makes us feel different from who RWBY usually is, hammering home the alternate reality things Ice Queendom is playing with. On top of that, the rest of the look is just really cute. The long coat feels reminiscent of her skirt shape, but is still designed to be appropriately definitely sporty to match her new role here. My personal favorite element is the puffballs on her hat, a cute little detail to match RWBY's more fun-loving personality. I love Blake's Ice Queendom outfit because it's one of the few that really embodies the idea that this is something made up in Weiss's personal nightmare. The look symbolizes Weiss's conflicted feelings about how she views Blake. The half bow exposing her true faunus nature, the oversized cat paw gloves, but the best part, not only is this great insight into our characters and how they see each other, but also it's just really cute. I think Blake looks fantastic with so much purple in her design. I wish she would have transitioned into purple in the show proper rather than white. But whatever, my favorite thing Ice Queendom does is makes the under part of her hair also purple. Not only does it look great and complement her outfits, but it helps to give her hair volume without getting lost on top of her other darker design elements. Did you notice when Blake goes evil in Ice Queendom, the fur on the inside of her ears is slightly longer? It gives her ear silhouette more of a serrated edge than usual. I just noticed and I thought it looked neat. I admit I'm a tad disappointed with this ultimate design decision. I know the idea is that she was afraid of embodying the worst parts of Adam, and that's what this represents, but I wish it didn't look this much like Adam's outfit. I do really like the Blake-specific details, like the claw gloves and these insane shoes. These are crazy. Those details are so neat, it makes me wish there was more like that going on here. At least with the mask, right? I want a Blake-specific mask design. That'd be cool. But the goofiest thing is, honey, did you forget to wear pants? I guess this is a nightmare, right? Forgetting to put your pants on is a classic nightmare trope, am I right? Yang's Ice Queendom outfit is fine. I mean, it sure is a Yang design. It's just real samey to what she normally wears, you know? Except with even less orange or yellow than usual. I think what bums me out is I was just talking about how Blake's design had such specific elements in it to reflect how Weiss sees her, and Yang's design just doesn't have any of that going on. Why is her hair in a ponytail? I guess it's sporty, but I don't know, that's kind of a distinct element for her. Why are her pants, half shorts? I don't know, I just don't get what Weiss thinks of Yang with this outfit at all. As usual, no one ever seems to know what to do with Yang, especially when it comes to her design. Poor girl deserves better. I'm just gonna say it. Juniper's Ice Queendom designs aren't nearly as intricate as Team RWBY's are. It's mostly just winter weather variations of what they normally wear, with honestly very little changes. I like how Jean looks like he has the least amount of effort to change anything, just adding a hat and a scarf and gloves, as if Weiss couldn't even be bothered to give him any kind of new, unique design elements. Also, I like Ren's hat. He looks cool. The most unique out of the bunch is Pyrrha, donning an entirely different design that's also totally different from what she usually wears. Eagle-eyed viewers might realize this is actually a palette-swapped version of Weiss's Volume 4 dress. Presumably, Weiss wants to see herself and Pyrrha in a similar way. She does admire Pyrrha an awful lot in Volume 1. This shared design is a pretty interesting way of representing that. Xion is a new, original character introduced in Ice Queendom. I really love their weapon and semblance. It's a neat way to get the plot of the story to happen, but I admit their design feels awfully alien to the world of RWBY, especially Volume 1 RWBY where Ice Queendom takes place. Not to say their design is bad or anything, I think they have some really cool little details that do a nice job jazzing up the look without busying it with too many patterns. Like, look at those crazy heels on their shoes, wow! But whenever Xion is standing next to the other characters, they just feel off, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the hat or the swirly bits on their shoulders? Characters didn't really have large, protruding accessories back in the early days of RWBY. I would love to see a 3D model for Xion, though. We get a good sense of how Weiss views her siblings based on how wildly different they look in her nightmare. Whitley has turned into a bat, a creature lingering out of sight, always watching and waiting to fly off and tell Jacques about the mistakes Weiss makes. I do love how this design still clearly reads as Whitley, though. The little things like the style of his bangs and his little vest and tie is all you really need to sell this idea. Winter, on the other hand, is so distant from her normal style you might have not even realized she's in the show. She's the book Weiss carries around with her, a symbol of the rules in her life she wants to abide by, the thing Weiss studies and tries so hard to shape herself after, yet lacks any humanizing personality. Just like her siblings, the way Weiss's nightmare has interpreted her parents tells us a ton about how she views them. Willow has been reduced to just a shadow on the wall, an idea of a person who's never physically around, but lingers annoyingly nearby, laughing loudly and drunkenly with her always filled glass of wine in her hand. Jacques, on the other hand, is a statue, a monument littered all over the place, unmoving and ever watching for anything he disapproves of. Cold stone that fills Weiss's thoughts with his expectations and authority. Eventually, he adopts a suit of armor that is shockingly similar to the giant knight armor Weiss fights with in the White trailer. Why does a figure of stone need to wear armor? Well, it's really just a costume, a facade that implies he has more power than he does. Weiss is truly the one in control of the armor, not Jacques. Klein's 7 different personalities have been split into 7 different individuals in Ice Queendom, so I'll only be covering half of them in this one, and I'll cover the other half in the next one. Happy Klein and Grumpy Klein are the most humanoid and are both robots, though Happy Klein is a worker in a factory while Grumpy is a security guard, as if to say Grumpy is there to help protect Weiss whenever there's something only his stern demeanor could help handle, while Happy is a consistent worker who keeps continually overseeing things around Weiss to help her life function more smoothly. And the last Klein who has a tangible body is Sneezy Klein, who looks like a dog, because I guess dog allergies can make you sneeze. I appreciate how all of the Kleins sport his iconic mustache, and their eyes change colors to correspond with the eye color of the actual man when his personality changes. Klein's last 4 Ice Queendom designs are all basically just faces. Doc Klein is a little candle flame, as if to imply he's a small source of warmth in Weiss's otherwise cold home life. Sleepy, Bashful, and Dopey are all just doors though. Dopey imprisons the people Weiss thinks are stupid, which is a fitting match, I suppose. Sleepy is the door to the girls' bedroom, where Weiss keeps her precious friends, Yang and Ruby, in a separate, safe place. Makes sense it's Sleepy because you're gonna be sleeping in the bedroom, right? Last is Bashful, holding Blake in her separate estate where Weiss's conflicted feelings about Faunus are all jumbled up. Maybe it's Bashful because Weiss is embarrassed by her own actions when it came to her views on Blake and the Faunus. We've seen glimpses of Nicholas Schnee here or there before Ice Queendom gives us our first true look at Weiss's grandfather. He might not seem like anything that unique, sporting the signature white Schnee hair and blue eyes, but the really cool thing is, you'll notice he is the one who first wore the knight's armor. Weiss's go-to summon, the Armor Gigas. This was his armor first. Weiss's whole career as a huntress was inspired around Nicholas, and this simple character design element beautifully displays this idea. In the nightmare, Big Nicholas is a massive, nearly skeletal statue at the center of her dream. Literally, the bones to her world, the structure that everything else is built around. His clear inspiration on her life is so well executed in Ice Queendom. With Ice Queendom, we now have seen small baby versions of all of the Team RWBY girls. Hooray! Ruby is the one we've gotten to see the least of, still swallowed up in that great big hood of hers, sporting a cute little black skirt. She's always had her style figured out right from the get-go, huh? Also, it's crazy seeing Ruby wear something that's sleeveless. She's always wearing long sleeves nowadays. Young Yang looks uniquely medieval, wearing a sort of buckled tunic thing. Still not wearing yellow though I do like the little yellow ribbons holding her hair and their pigtails. It's cute seeing baby Blake wearing mostly purple. Also, she's got that RWBY classic of wearing a bandana on your arm for reasons. Baby Weiss still sports the same colors as her Volume 1 design, but I like the detail that apparently she's been wearing a little tiara ever since she was a little kid. Old habits die hard, I suppose. It's not just baby versions of our girls, we've also seen child tween versions of them too. Weiss in a family portrait is wearing something uniquely summer-flavored despite being in Atlas. The prim and proper style with the Mary Janes, and the fact it matches Whitley's design a lot, makes me think this was probably a uniform for a private school the two was attending. We see a tween Blake in the DC comics where she's wearing green. It's likely meant to be a compliment to the purple sash, but it's crazy seeing Blake wearing anything so out of her color palette. Last, we've seen tween Yang and Ruby in the Fairy Tale spin-off series. Ruby's light-colored shirt with pink accents is a nice, softer take on her usual color palette. It helps implies her younger innocence here. Yang's pajamas here are sporting Raven's colors uniquely, except for her yellow socks. Still can't just have her in yellow, huh? Dr. Merlot was RWBY's first ever spin-off original character, the villain to Grim Eclipse. We never get a proper look at him, this bust shot is all we've ever seen. The white hair, magnificent mustache, and bionic glowing red eye helps to make him pretty recognizable still. Unfortunately, with his white hair, white outfit, and a splash of red accents, he also just looks like a relative to Weiss. I wish he was wearing blue or gray instead, or had like a streak of a cool color in his hair somewhere. That would have helped separate him from Weiss a bit, and help make him feel even more stand out, especially since we see so little of him. All of Team Briar wear thorns in their designs, and I like how actually sturdy and protected Bianca's thorns covering her shoulders look. She definitely comes across as the one who's most prepared for combat in her team. Bright red lipstick hasn't usually worked on RWBY characters, but I think it really looks nice here. I think it helps that it's the same shade as her face tattoo, and the shape of her lips is much better proportioned for her head, as opposed to characters like Wonder Woman's lipstick, which more resembled clown makeup, though I do have some gripes with her design. First, I wish there was a more interesting pattern going on somewhere. It feels very one note, especially her cape. I think a simple black thorn pattern could have really elevated the look. But man, the biggest thing, what is this center ring thing? What is it clasped to? Her top? Why? It looks so weird, and I don't get it. Roanne's hair is so cool. Seeing her hair light up like flames when she uses her semblance, it looks so cool, and the faded box braids help to sell the glowing idea way better than Yang's solid lump of all one-note colored hair. Also, the thorn ring accessories holding her hair up are cool, and I want them. Unfortunately, my compliments end here. The thorns adorning her arms feel like they just get in her own way, constantly poking herself on the ones on her hips, and she's hands down the most exposed of the Briar girls. I suppose it could be intentional given her fire-based weapon and semblance, but still. Also, just like Bianca, the lack of a unique pattern really makes the design feel flat. She doesn't even get very unique colors, seemingly just ripping off Bianca's color palette. Missed opportunities, I'd say. Ivy's design is probably my favorite of the Briar girls. The thorn earrings are amazing, a great compliment to accentuate her unique hairstyle, and is just an accessory most characters don't have. I also appreciate the amount of colors in her designs. A handful of greens and soft browns to give the design some visual variety, not only to help show off her figure, but also helps to keep the design from feeling too one-note or simplistic. The brown gloves, boots, belt, and hair keep the design balanced and leads your eye through the whole look, so when she starts doing cool stuff, it's readable and clear what her movements are. Fantastic design, absolutely excellent. I like how everything on Ruta is just too big. I like Ruta's big pants. They're a fun shape and a style we don't see too often. I admit I'm a fan of the gigantic oversized belt. I like the comically too large goggles. All of the crazy bigness of her accessories and clothes actually makes the large drills on her hands feel small and proportioned in comparison. She feels a tad top-heavy design-wise, with all of her orange details up by her hair. I wish the belt had been orange and the goggles had been green. I think that would have helped balance the design a bit better. She's a fun, unique character with a design that has a ton of personality. Thornmane's design feels confused. He's the enemy of Team Briar, but he's also wearing the same little thorn armor bits like how they all wear. Then outside of that detail, he's just kind of boring. A militaristic style, just like Ironwood, only now it's red because villain flavor, I guess. His eyes and hair color isn't doing anything unique. The hairstyle isn't very standout either. He's painfully forgettable, which sucks because, like I said, he's the main villain. I don't know if any of the new characters in Arrowfell have fairy tale illusions, at least nothing's been confirmed, but if I didn't know any better, I would think Thornmane was someone's attempt to do the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. His thorn gimmick matches the wilting rose idea, the shaggy brown hair looks like someone's attempt at redesigning the Disney humanized version of him, but Adam is already the Beast. In a game full of unique designs, Thornmane just sucks. Olive Harper disappoints me because this just screams of a lack of creativity. Arrowfell has the unique opportunity to show us more of Ironwood's higher-ranking officers who weren't in the Aesops, and then they made her uniform look exactly like the Aesops. Like, Atlas soldiers had more color variety back in the Beacon days. This sucks. It's boring, and muddies the concept of the Aesops' uniforms being different styles but matching colors. Apparently, Really? Everyone's uniform is that way? So how do you tell at a glance who is and isn't an Aesop or not? Outside of that, she's just the usual flavor of boring. She doesn't have a unique hair color, her eyes are a muddy, desaturated color that's not very standout. It doesn't even look like an olive green like what her name is based off of. Boring, uninspired, just like everything from Atlas. Hanlon Fifestone looks really cool for a huntsman. Again, he has a bit of a boring hair color and eye color, but at least the pop with his red of the headband and gloves gives him a bit of a flashy pizzazz. That mixed with the large scar on his face, and he has sort of like a pirate vibe, right? It's very cool for a huntsman. Too bad he isn't a huntsman. Yeah, Hanlon's the leader of a workers' union in Mantle, and his design does not imply that in any way. I kinda get the feeling they came up with the design first and then retroactively decided what role he should play in the story later. It's not necessarily a bad looking design, but it's not telling us much about the character or story it's a part of. What a waste of a character. RWBY Arrowfell could have done anything when designing their original characters, but as we've seen time and again, they usually just cut corners and do the most boring, lazy option. Amancio Glass is a mini-boss. In the story, he's selling stolen Atlas weapons and pilots his own glass cannon mech. So they have this weapons and glass theme, but didn't want to play around with this idea with his design. Regular, portly businessman was the only thing you could think of, especially since he's a shady mob boss, but he's designed to look like any run-of-the-mill elite from Atlas. And this might be a nitpick, but why is his accent color yellow? If we're doing a glass thing, why not gray or light blue? Just no cohesion, no effort, wasted opportunity. Arrowfell doesn't have a ton of NPCs, but I do appreciate the level of effort that went into how they're designed. Everyone in the tundra is decked out in very thick, fur-lined coats. It seems like a no-brainer the people living in the bitter cold would wear heavy-duty attire like this, but hey, this is RWBY we're talking about. Most of the time, the characters are in skimpy little outfits and use the excuse of their aura to keep them warm. An extra detail I appreciate is how the NPCs from the city all wear modern, fashion-forward attire, which is very much in line with what we've seen from NPCs in the show proper. The folks living further away from the major kingdoms tend to wear more traditional clothes for the area they live in. It's a nice touch. And of course, the best NPC in the history of the world is in this game, Cerise, my love, my gorgeous wolf queen. The RWBY Fairy Tales miniseries only gave us one new design that's really worth talking about, the God of Animals. It's fascinating seeing what a world with already magical properties built into their societies would perceive as something godlike. And this design is really different from anything we've seen from the show, even the more outlandish characters we saw in the Ever After. The lack of a mouth is the part that interests me the most. What a creative, otherworldly aspect incorporated into a design. I like how you can see various animal inspirations here, but he doesn't embody any one animal in particular. The God of Animals is just so beautiful. I love the color palette. I love how the colors fade in and out. It's just such standout creativity, and it's really cool. You probably know that RWBY had a crossover with the Justice League in a movie, but did you know they got totally different designs for a different crossover in the DC comics? Yeah, they sure did. Starting with RWBY, it's kind of a bummer that it's almost exactly the same as her movie design. I guess it's not too bad, I do like that design. The fade to red on her sleeve glove combo thing also looks much cooler, but I think the striped nature of her shoes feels a bit busy. My biggest issue is I really liked her sporty ponytail from the movie version. Oh well. Weiss and Blake have kind of a similar thing going on, where their designs are really heavily inspired by outfits from the show. Weiss is clearly based on her Volume 1 look, while Blake is based on her Volume 4 look. They're not bad, the extra colors and details are neat, but they also don't really feel like superhero costumes. They just feel like lightly restyled versions of the show's outfits. Then there's Yang, and I'm gonna be honest, I love her hair like this. Yes, give Goldilocks a gigantic, over-the-top mane of hair, yeah! And you know what? Compared to a lot of Yang's other outfits, This isn't even that bad, I suppose. Definitely better than the one from the movie. I don't love that it's so muddy and uses bronze as its main accent color, but the splash of orange here or there works, I think, and I like how breathable it is. It is still my least favorite of the four, so as usual, Yang just can't catch a break. I could have swore I talked about Zwei already, but when I go through my shorts, no, I don't think I actually did, so I guess I'll finally talk about him here, in case I didn't. Zwei is inspired by Ein, the pet corgi from Cowboy Bebop. I appreciate that they went with a totally different corgi color. The breed type and name makes it a cute reference, but making him look too similar to Ein would have made it start to feel a bit more like just a lazy ripoff. So, unfortunately, Zwei is rather ugly, at least in the poser era. I understand modeling a dog is a totally different challenge compared to making humans. Hell, even the Beowulfs aren't really dog-like. Which makes sense, because apparently a lot of the animators would mocap the Beowulfs themselves sometimes. I think it's Zwei's eyes. They just look too straightforward. While I suppose this is sort of realistic, the realism clashes with the anime style with the rest of the show. I do think they fixed him up with the Maya engine. His eyes are placed a little wider and lower. We can see the whites of his eyes, which helps him match the art style for the world a bit better. But obviously the best version of Zwei was from RWBY. Chibi, come on. This is adorable. My goal when I started these shorts was to talk about every single design from RWBY, including the supplemental material, and I've almost achieved that goal. The only thing I've forgotten was Cinder's prom dress back in Volume 2. Honestly, the fact that she barely gets any screen time with it, and the fact it was overshadowed by her spy outfit, I sort of forgot she even had this dress. Ultimately, this is a bit of an underwhelming one to end this all off on, because quite honestly, there's not much to really say. It's a cute dress, for sure, sleek, sexy, but it's all mostly just one color. There's a bit of a glass shard style thing going on with her hip, but it's so dark gray that I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't even notice that part. And I'm actually pretty sure this is just a retextured version of Pyrrha's dress. They have almost the exact same shape and cut. Cinder's biggest standout feature are her long gloves, which is actually a holdover accessory from her spy outfit. Cinder has just had so many outfits, and so many of them have been much more interesting than this one, but with this, I have officially covered every single design from RWBY and its supplemental material. I hope. Wouldn't that be embarrassing if I forgot something right at the end? Extra special shout out to my $50 patron, Just Some Major. Their outfit is very cool today. And shout out to my $10 patrons, you're all amazing. Andrew, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, Classy Critic, Genital War Thunder, Jake, Amber, Scaring Crows, Messiah, Jacob, Ben's Sketchbook, Rain, Lucian, Wild Pilot, Juan, Bunkin Duncan, Hoodie Angel, Ranger, C1 Trooper, Sean, Ruby Rune, Lavaros, Plague, Tyrene, Thanos, Pandemonium, Peter, Agiri, Eden, Silverheart Soul, Doki Poki, Zappy, Wolfgang, Philip, Mac and Cheese, Lalaroni, Davey, MD, Nerf Ned, and Video Gamer.